The topic of our discussion is dealing with cardiovascular disease and respiratory diseases. It's obvious that the time we have cannot be sufficient to talk about two specialty, because each of the topic is a specialty. Each of the condition we're going to talk about today is a specialty of its own. We are talking about cardiovascular medicine and respiratory medicine. So there's no way we can do justice within 45 minutes. But I'm going to go through this outline, at least for us to have idea of what we're about to talk about. So I'm going to talk about, what is cardiovascular disease? How common is this entity? So this is the outline. How common is it? What are the risk factors? Luckily, today, because we actually have shared risk factors. So I will not need to go over what has been said again, and that is going to save some of our time. What are the signs and symptoms, diagnosis, treatment, and of course, prevention. Prevention is actually better than cure. But before we actually go into the detail, let us look at this. What do we want? I know all of us, we want long life. Maybe we want to reach 120, even 140 years. We don't want disease. Especially we don't want cancer. I thought I'm going to threaten us with cardiovascular disease today. But when I heard about cancer, then I gentled. We don't want cancer. We want to be free of all disease in life. No diabetes, no hypertension. We want a lot of energy from our cradle till grave. We want to enjoy life, happiness. And of course, we want money, plenty money. And of course, as Muslim, above all, we want Allah's rahmah. So these are our desires. But what is the reality? The reality is that today, the average lifespan is between 75 and 80 years. That is in developed countries. In Nigeria, it's between 45 and 50. Now, the lifespan has actually reduced to about 40 years. Yes, that's the average lifespan. So, most of us that we are over 40, we are spending extra time, overtime. We know that diseases are abundant, ranging from infectious diseases to non-communicable diseases. As we grow older, now we start talking about hypertension, diabetes, and cancer. I don't want to be talking about it too much today. But that is the reality. Now, why do we have gap between our desired and the reality? One of the reasons is because of cardiovascular diseases. A lot of these diseases actually reduce or bridge the gap between what we actually desire and what the reality is. Now, according to World Health Organization, cardiovascular disease just means disease of the heart and the blood vessels. Now, for example, the analogy I can use is that we have a water system with a pump and the pipe. So, the pump represents the heart. So, if there's any problem with the heart, you cannot get water. And if there's a problem with the pipe, the conduit, you can't get water. So, any disease entity that affects the heart itself and the blood vessels, which is the pipe, will automatically result into cardiovascular disease. So we say that generally it refers to the condition that involves the narrowed or blocked blood vessels, and usually leading to heart attack and stroke. Heart attack and stroke, I can say, are the prototype of what we call cardiovascular disease. We have quite a number of them because it's not an entity but group of disorders. But heart attack and stroke actually what we can call the prototype. Other conditions of the heart, like those that affect the muscles of the heart, we call the myocardium, or the valves, the valves of the heart, can result into abnormality of pump, that is how blood is pumped throughout the body, or the rate at which the heart pumps the blood. And all of these are still grouped under cardiovascular disease. So how common are these diseases? Now, cardiovascular disease is actually the number one cause of death globally. And it's responsible for more death annually from any other causes of disease. It is estimated that about 17.5 million people actually die from cardiovascular disease. That is as at 2012. As at today, we have more than a third of all overall world mortality attributable to cardiovascular disease. But these deaths are actually from coronary artery disease, which is heart attack or stroke. Now, in each of these conditions, what we have is that the blood supply to the heart is compromised. The heart is the pump that pumps blood around the body. But the heart also needs vitality. So heart also has blood supply. So when there is a problem with the blood supply of the heart, then there is what we call ischemic heart disease or heart attack. Now it is said that if this trend should continue, by the year 2030, we are going to have doubling of mortality from about 17,000 to about 17 million deaths to about 23.6 million by the year 2030 if this trend actually continues. The unfortunate thing about it is that most of these deaths actually now occur in the developing countries, because in developed countries they have the health facilities that can actually cope with some of these diseases. And unfortunately for us, once these cardiovascular disease occur in developing or less privileged countries, low income countries, it results into high mortality. Now, this gives us the idea of overall death in the United States of America. Of course, heart disease is number one, followed by cancer and stroke. These are the top most common cause of death in US. We should also note that respiratory disease come fourth position. Now, stroke and heart disease, which is heart attack, like I said, form cardiovascular disease entity. So the addition of the two make it to be number one cause of death all over the world. Now this one also shows us the graphical representation of all-cause mortality all over the world. And ischemic heart disease, which is cardiovascular disease, still comes first, followed by stroke. And of course, number three there is still respiratory disease. So the entity we are talking about today actually form the bulk of death all over the world, be it in Africa or in Europe. Although in Africa or in less developed countries, we are still battling with communicable diseases, that infection. So for us, it's like a double barrel. While in developed countries, they are far away from infectious disease. They are actually far away from it. We cannot see many of the infectious disease being the cause of mortality there, because their health facility and hygiene condition has actually improved the communicable disease. Unfortunately for us, we will still see that things like respiratory disease still account for a lot of death, HIV/AIDS, diarrhea diseases, and so on and so forth. Now, this is African graphs. As of 2012, it is said that HIV/AIDS is the #1 cause of death in Africa, followed by respiratory disease. Diarrhea, malaria, stroke come number 5. Now, what are the cardiovascular diseases? Like I said, there are entities, not a single entity. There are a group of disorders in which we have coronary artery disease being on the top and deep vein thrombosis being below. Now, coronary artery disease is synonymous to heart attack. And of course, we must have heard about people that maybe during the lecture like this, they are just giving lectures and they slump and they die. Or they are driving and they just find out that they just, pass on like that. What happened? It may be because of sudden and acute abrupt reduction in blood supply to the heart. And when there's no blood supply to the heart that is pumping blood around the body, automatically the heart dies. And that is why it's a sudden cause of death. Stroke also, or what we call cerebrovascular disease. What happens is that the blood supply to the brain is also compromised. Is it that there is a clot in the blood supply of the brain, and then part of the brain is no longer getting supply? And brain, it controls all parts of our body. So once there is a reduction in blood supply to any part of the brain, then the problem is mortality. And if the person does not die, it will become paralyzed. So the problem is not only about mortality, but morbidity. That is, they become disabled and almost like useless when the person has become totally paralyzed. Now we have other groups like peripheral arterial disease. These are blood vessels of the lower limbs or other part of the body that is not that of the brain, that of the heart. Usually they don't cause death suddenly. However, in some situation, there could be blood clots in the lower part of the body which can migrate to the heart and then cause sudden blockage of the blood supply to the heart. In this situation too, they can also cause sudden death. Now, rheumatic heart disease. This is a group of disease that's also attributable to infection. Ab initio, they are infective in origin, and that is why this type of disease, heart disease, is commoner in children, because it is at the younger age group that infection may be almost the normal infection, like upper respiratory tract infection, cold, catarrh, cough, that will manifest. So, but after treatment, and the person is already free of the cold and catarrh, now the organism that causes this cold and catarrh, most of the time we call them streptococcal disease, they are bacteria. Now, what they do is that they have deposits all over the body. And when the body tries to attack this organism, they will start to attack the valves of the heart. That is, they will start to attack the heart. So, it is not the disease itself, but because the disease the part of the body of the heart actually resemble that organism. So the body starts to attack the body, and that is what actually causes the problem with the valve of the heart. And then by the time the person grows up, he develops heart problem. We call it rheumatic heart disease. Now, some of these disease disorders can also be congenital. That is inborn. A lot of, like the previous speakers have said, there are a lot of environmental hazards that can affect unborn baby in terms of chemical, radiation, and all of this. And when it happens like that, a woman can actually give birth to a baby with a defective heart. I'm sure some of them may have been hearing about hole in the heart, and then they are soliciting for funds to go to India or go to this and that. These are congenital heart disease in which there are defects within part of the heart. It is still under what we call cardiovascular disease. Now, heart failure is more or less a manifestation of most of these disease entity. Now, this shows us the diagrammatic representation of the heart. Okay, yeah, good. Like I said, the heart is like a pump, and it has blood supplies. So if there is a problem with the blood supply to the heart, part of the heart dies off. The part of the heart that dies is actually what is causing problem. And that is what we call myocardial infarction. So these are the coronary vessels. So once there is a problem in the either blockage or there is complete, a loss of blood supply to that part of the heart, the part of the heart dies. And if it is massive, automatically there will be sudden death. Now, what are the risk factors? These risk factors can be grouped generally into what we call modifiable risk factor and non-modifiable risk factors. Now, the non-modifiable risk factors are the risk factors that we can actually do anything about. Many of these risk factors have been listed before. These are risk factors that it is inborn, it is natural, so there's no way we can modify it. But we have modifiable risk factors. The modifiable risk factors could either be traditional or the new risk factor that we have now identified as risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Now, age is one of the non-modifiable risk factors. We want to grow old, but as we grow older, the risk for cardiovascular disease also increases. So, possibly this is part of the price we may have to pay for growing older. Now, it has been said that after the age of 65, the risk of cardiovascular disease actually triple or in fourfold than those who are below. The recent findings has now shown that it is not even 65 now. The age at which cardiovascular disease are now appearing are becoming, lower and lower, such that by the age of 40, there are a lot of cardiovascular signs and symptoms in an individual. Gender. It has been shown that male are more predisposed to cardiovascular disease generally than female. Well, this may be because of hormonal protection. Okay? Androgen is seen as cardiogenic, something that promotes cardiovascular disease, whereas estrogen is protective. So I think our women folk should be happy about this, because in a way they are protected from cardiovascular disease to some extent, provided other factors remain constant. However, they also grow old. So by the age of 65, the protective hormone estrogen dries up. So they are as like men, and then the risk factor now become the same. So the gender disparity is only seen in the young women. Now, heredity. This has been said over and over again. Almost everything, all the diseases, has their hereditary component and environmental components. And good illustration from Dr. Habib has already shown us that the heredity alone may not give the manifestation if there is no accompanying environmental factor. But certainly, we are genetically predisposed to certain disease more than the other. So, people who have parents with heart diseases will likely have offspring that they are going to pass this defective disease onto. And that is one reason why now genetic typing and genetic profiling is important, because you may be able to identify what are those genes that are predisposed to certain group of diseases than the other. There's what we call worldwide genome mapping, and because for every disease there is a trace to a particular gene. And it is said that if we can be able to get all these, we may be able to prevent some of these diseases. Unfortunately, in this environment, we hardly know histories, especially medical histories of our parents or our great-grandparents. So most of these genetic diseases may be there, but it's unknown because we lack most of these records. Family history is similar. Ethnicity, well, there's always differences. Like in case of cancer, white are more predisposed to skin cancer, while we are protected. For us, they have more of coronary artery disease. We have more of hypertension. Unfortunately, hypertension is like a common denominator to all of these diseases. And unfortunately too, well, we won't say unfortunately, Allah knows the way He's balancing things. When it occurs in black, it's usually very severe. We used to have more severe form of hypertension, more severe form of diabetes, more severe form of coronary artery disease if it occurs. However, they have more of it than we do. But other environmental factors, other modifiable factors, hypertension, like I said, is a common denominator. Diabetes is a common thing. But hypertension we can control. That is good. One good thing about it. Hypertension we can control. Diabetes we can control. Now, cigarette smoking, both active and passive, has been shown without doubt that they are risk factor for cardiovascular disease and sudden cardiac death. Alcohol intake. Alhamdulillah, we are Muslims. If we actually follow the tenet of Islam, we are not supposed to be taking alcohol. And ranging from cancer to cardiovascular disease to respiratory disease to kidney disease, everything can be traceable to both cigarette smoking and these are behavioral problems. You can control it. You have a choice not to take alcohol. You don't have a choice to say you will be a male or female, and you don't have a choice to say you will be black or white. That is or the composition of your gene. So you can't modify that. However, you can modify. You can say you are not going to take alcohol. You are not going to, take cigarettes. Now, obesity. Obesity has also been shown to be a common denominator in all cardiovascular disease. Fortunately, is that obesity is also a modifiable disease entity. So how do we come about obesity? Imam has already mentioned part of it. It is about what you eat and what you do. So if you eat a lot and you do less, so it's two components, accumulating without burning it. So if you eat but you exercise a lot, you have tendency to burn the excess fat that has accumulated. So it is two ways. Avoid sedentary lifestyle and eat moderately. So physical inactivity, these have been beautifully illustrated earlier. Then cholesterol. Now I want to give us a warning, because when we talk about high cholesterol, it doesn't actually mean or synonymous to obesity. So people that are, of moderate size can have very high cholesterol. So it is not a function of the outward body fat. And that is why it is important that we may actually have to go and do checkup to know if we have hypercholesterolemia, because it's one of the entities that are causing cardiovascular disease. Unhealthy diet. So we have said this over and over again. High fat diet, high salt diet, lack of vegetables, lack of fruit, and that is actually what causes. Now, we have novel risk factors. These are risk factors that are still undergoing experimental surveys. Many of them may not be easily identifiable, except you go for checkup. of all these risk factors, these 5 risk factors are the most important. And fortunately for them, they are all modifiable risk factors. So when we are talking about cardiovascular disease, in a way it is something that can actually be prevented, because you cannot also cure it. It doesn't really have a specific cure, but it can be prevented. Now, some of these graphs is just showing what is the correlation between risk factors and our lifestyle. It has been shown that the more time you sit down watching TV, it increases your chances of obesity and diabetes. And these are the two, yes, these are studies. So, the more time you sit down watching television actually increases the risk of obesity and diabetes. Unfortunately, one threatening phenomenon now is what we call childhood obesity. You know, affluence and possibly nonchalant attitude. Our children are taken to our lifestyle. So you can see watching television from morning till night or playing game, and you can see a lot of unhealthy food substances. You know, we don't eat amala again, but like Dr. Habib said, this is what our children now prefer. And low fruits and vegetables have been shown to have increased risk of heart disease. So if you want to prevent cardiovascular disease, please take a lot of fruit, take a lot of greeny vegetable. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? Now, the signs and symptoms depends on the type of cardiovascular disease we are talking about. You know, we have talked about stroke, we have talked about coronary heart disease, we are talking about peripheral artery disease of the leg and all of that. But coronary artery disease is like a prototype. Chest pain is the cardinal point, cardinal symptom. Sometimes patient may not have chest pain, and that is why if there is massive myocardial infarction, there is not even time for the person to feel pain. So the person can just drop dead suddenly like that. So sometimes it may be asymptomatic. It may not even give any sign. But when it does, at least that's the pointer that there is a problem. Now, chest pain. The characteristics of chest pain in coronary artery disease actually give it off. Now, it is not the pain that is actually felt where the heart is located. That's one thing we need to know. The heart is located in the left, at least for most people. For few people, they can have what we call dextrocardia. Some people have their heart on their right. On the right part of their chest. It's uncommon, but it's possible. So when doctor want to listen to the heart side, he will not put it here, he will put it here. If he put it there, he will say, this person is not alive. Where is the heart? Because it's not on the left side. Now, the coronary artery disease chest pain is central. It's actually in the middle. So the person may feel it's an heartburn. It's an indigestion. It can mimic any form of condition. And that is the problem about it. So it can easily be ignored. After all, it is not on my heart. Whereas those are the most dangerous aspects. Now, how does it come? It comes sometimes as a sharp pain, sometimes glowing, sometimes it's just like a discomfort or heaviness. When you are feeling heaviness at the center part of your chest, we call it retrosternal pain. That is actually pointing to the coronary heart disease or heart pain. When it is severe, it will come with diaphoresis. The person can be sweaty. Sometimes the person can have an unusual feeling of imminent death. And that is why anybody that is suffering from coronary artery disease if he should have any of these signs, they should be taken to the hospital immediately, because any minute the person can pass away. So some of these pain can also radiate, that it can travel from the chest down to the left upper limb. When it happens like that, we call it angina pectoris. So if you have a chest pain that's going to your left hand, is a pointer to a danger. Even though it is not in all cases, but that is a pointer that you need to seek medical attention quickly. So like I said, abdominal discomfort can also come. The person can even vomit. And in patients who has underlying diabetes, you may not see any of these things, and that is why we call it silent killer. Now, how do we make a diagnosis? Like I've mentioned, it depends on what type of cardiovascular disease we are talking about. Is it coronary artery disease? Is it cerebrovascular disease, which is stroke? Let me mention a little bit about stroke, because stroke is actually commoner in this environment than coronary artery disease, and it's a more common form of death in our own environment than coronary artery disease. The coronary artery disease is more common in the Western Europe. Now, stroke signs and symptoms. Sometimes it may also not give any signs, but sometimes it may give a subtle sign. The first sign may be that the person has a slurred speech. Suddenly, somebody that sleep and wakes up and find out that he cannot talk very well again. His speech has changed. That's a pointer that stroke is coming, or stroke has already come. Now, when it involves paralysis of the hand, that is when most patients now goes to the hospital. But the other subtle sign that has given may be a pointer to the fact that stroke is coming. Now, by the time a patient loses consciousness, now that is severe. Now, stroke can either be as a result of blood clots, we call it ischemic, or as a result of rupture of the blood vessels of the brain. And that is why sometimes the time interval that you want to even intervene is no longer there. Because if it is a massive rupture of blood vessels of the brain, hardly can you do anything. The patient is going to die. So, from a little sign of tingling sensation, numbness, that I'm not feeling very well on this part of the body, to slurred speech, to complete paralysis, and to loss of consciousness. That is the evolution. And all this can occur within few minutes. Now, diagnosis history. We need to know, is this individual, does he have any of these risk factors that we have talked about? If you are hypertensive, then coronary artery disease can come, stroke can come. Diabetes, if you are obese, if you have high cholesterol, whether you are obese or not, these are all the risk factors. And history of this can actually be a pointer. And of course, when the patient comes to the hospital, and the patient need to go to the hospital, these are not the things we can manage at home. I want to give us another warning, because I've been seeing some social media messages about how you can prevent maybe coronary artery disease, heart attack, what you can do, and a lot of that. And it is attributable to a research that emanated from, I think, Johns Hopkins or something. We need to be careful. Many of these messages are not correct. They are not founded. People just concoct things and send it. And of course, in the era of social media, everybody gets it. Even patients send it to me, that this is a new way that we will be taking care of our heart. Doctor, you should also read this, so that in case you have, because there they said, if you have any of these signs, instead of you to run and call for help, you should just breathe in and out, breathe in and out. Before you do the breathing in and out, you are dead. So that is why we should not take many of that. So physical examination, we reveal that, of course, the patient has ischemic heart disease, The pain is maybe there may be tenderness. When you auscultate, you may actually find abnormality in the heart sounds. And of course, when you check the blood pressure, it may be very elevated. One thing about blood pressure is that hypertension itself does not have a sign or symptom. So I wonder when some patient comes to me and tell me that, doctor, you see, anytime I have headache, I know that my blood pressure has come back, and then I take my drug. I laugh. Because having headache is not a sign of hypertension. I've seen a patient with blood pressure of 300 over 180. You know, the normal sphygmomanometer that we use, the upper part of it is 300. 300 is upper part. So, as it's inflated to the upper part, the blood pressure is still there. And patient walked in to the hospital, clinic for that matter, not. And patient was insisting he will go home because he doesn't have any signs or symptoms. He walked in. So, and these are the time bomb. These are the set of people that will sleep and may not wake up. Or just small quarrel, and they will just snub. And that is why, please don't fight with people, whether in Ramadan or outside Ramadan. You don't know what people are carrying. So somebody with blood pressure of 300 over 180, any moment the blood vessels of the brain will rupture and it's going to be dead instantly. So when we measure the blood pressure, we find most of the time very high. And of course, other investigation can now be done in order to confirm what type of disease we are dealing with. Now, for most of the coronary artery disease or cardiovascular disease, you will need to do what we call ECG, electrocardiogram. Okay, this ECG, very simple, non-invasive. You can do it as many times as possible. It doesn't have side effects. I think it only has front effects. So, but it will show that there's a problem with the heart. ECG is now becoming cheaper now. Well, cheaper in quotes, because it's found in almost all the hospitals. Unlike in those days, it will be maybe in teaching hospital that you have ECG. In fact, people now buy ECG machine and they keep at home because their electronic ECG, you will attach it yourself and it's going to measure it. So things are becoming easier these days as technology is advancing. So when we do the ECG, we'll be able to know is it ST-MI or non-ST-MI, that is ST elevation, myocardial infarction or non-ST. Each of these ones, there's a way we treat them in the hospital. Now, sometimes the ECG may not be able to pick the problem at that point in time. But it's a problem that is ongoing. Because for coronary artery disease, there's what we call spasm. It may kink. And then at that point in time, there's lack of blood supply. At another time, it may open up and there's blood supply. So if you do your ECG at the time that it has opened, you may not see any abnormality. It kink, there may be abnormality. And that is why sometimes you need to do what we call stress test. That is, you now subject that heart to some exercise. And then you will be able to see this abnormality that we are talking about. Oh, I will finish. So, another investigation that's very crucial that will be able to identify this problem is what we call echocardiogram. Echocardiogram is a little bit expensive depending on where it is done. It ranges between 5,000 and 20,000. Like I said, depending at where it is done. So, but it is very, very important investigation that should be done in a patient that you are suspecting a coronary artery disease. Now, you also need to do some blood tests because when the heart is diseased, it sends some signals into the blood, and this signal you can pick it when you do some blood test. The part of the heart that is dead actually secretes what we call some enzymes, cardiac enzymes, and when you check for these cardiac enzymes, they are elevated. This will show that there is already part of the heart that is dead. And these are some of the things we do: troponin, brain natriuretic peptide, and so on. Like I said, cholesterol check is important because it may be a pointer to the atherosclerosis. Chest X-ray, very important. Now, cardiac catheterization. These, I think, the last 3 investigations, they are capital intensive, and you cannot readily get them done. But you can have good idea of what kind of coronary artery disease you are dealing with the first few. With the exception of stroke. In stroke, clinical presentation, by the time you see the paralysis, the person is unconscious, you know it is stroke. But sometimes we still ask patients to go and do brain CT scan. It is not for us to make a diagnosis of stroke. Diagnosis of stroke is actually clinical. We know it when it comes. But sometimes we want to know that is it as a result of blockage, that is it a blood clot, or is it the rupture of blood vessels? So if it is a rupture, we call it hemorrhagic. There is a way we need to treat such. That is if the patient survives it. Now, if it is ischemic, that is there is a clot that block blood supply to the brain, there is also a way to do it. And that is why doing brain CT scan is important, but it is not actually compulsory in the treatment of stroke. Now, cardiac MRI and all of that can be done. Now, this shows us the ECG. Like I said, you can even have a portable ECG machine at home and attach the lead, and it will show this. I have seen a lot of patients that calls me and say, I have an ECG, doctor, please come and help me look at it. So, interpretation, you may not know what it means, but you will just see that there are a lot of graphs. Okay? All these graphs means a lot. This one is acute myocardial infarction. Okay? So, and that is emergency. Now, echocardiogram, like I said, can be done. This cannot be done at home. You may actually need to go to the hospital by the cardiologist who knows how to do it. Now, the one beside is both an investigation and also a treatment. If you look at this side, this is the heart, and this is the blood vessels of the heart. If you look at this place very well, we can see there's a kink. There's a discontinuity. That is what we call coronary artery disease. Now, if this is not treated, this person will soon suffer what we call myocardial infarction. All this area that is supplied by this part of the blood vessels of the heart will soon die. So this is an investigation, we call it cardiac catheterization, in which you pass a wire that has like a small camera. They are very tiny thing, okay, through the heart and even into the tiny blood vessels. This wire can thread into the tiny blood vessels, and it's going to take all these pictures, and you can identify where the coronary artery is blocked. And with latest intervention, you can actually open it up and prevent sudden death in such an individual. Now, what you can do is what we call coronary angioplasty. You can do coronary angioplasty, or you do a percutaneous coronary stenting. That is, you now put, you put a balloon. In this one, a stent is put. If you look at this area, you can see that it has been open. It's like a small balloon that when it is packed and it gets to this place, it inflates, and then it now allows the passage of blood. This is part of the coronary intervention that can be done in order to save people's life. So it's both an investigation and sometimes treatment. Now, concluding part of my lecture is that, unfortunately for us in developing countries, we have challenges. Part of these challenges is that 3/4 of all world death actually arise from low income or developing countries. I've shown us the graph. Why? Why is it so? Because there is inadequate integrated primary health care system. Many times when we go to our hospital, we may not find adequate care there. And even where there is adequate facility, there is no money to pay. So, like Dr. Habib said, poverty. Now, we can see that what contributes and is like a vicious cycle. Like a vicious cycle. You don't have money to avoid all these, what we call state-of-the-art facility. And when there's a problem, you will still spend money and out of pocket. So, our patients that are hypertensive, diabetic, they are on medications. Some of these medications are expensive. But because there is no insurance system like we have in a developing country, they use their money. And the money they're supposed to use for, other things, educating their children and all of that, they, have to use it to take care of themselves. So it's like a vicious cycle. So cardiovascular disease can improvise. And of course, impoverished people will die of cardiovascular disease. So it's like a vicious cycle, and that is what we find in our own environment. But, like I said, it's only prevention that we can actually do. And if we do it well, it is better for us. Because treatment of it is capital intensive. So, how do we go about prevention? One Health Organization has helped us to divide the prevention into 4 major parts. So, we have what we call primordial, primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. Prevention starts before the baby is born. And possibly that is what our own father, our own mother did. They may not know, but they in a way are giving us certain, preventive measures. Because for the unborn child, if the mother eats balanced diet, it will rub off on the unborn child. If she avoids chemicals that we call food, because they are chemicals, it will rub off on the unborn child. So even before the baby is born, you start the prevention. That is what we call primordial prevention. So avoidance of all these agents will definitely help. Now, then the baby is born. Then the prevention continues. That is primary prevention. Now but now it is now the responsibility of the individual that he should not smoke, he should not drink, he should eat balanced diet. That is primary prevention. And at that time, there is no disease yet, there is no hypertension yet, there is no diabetes yet. But you will start, that is why we need to inculcate this habit into our children. So, a lot of people now haven't realized this. Now, I've taken into low salt diet. And if you are the type that eat a lot of salt and you visit them, you will not go there another time because you will feel that their food is not sweet. All of us can train our taste bud to take less salt. And if we do, it will be better for us. So, when there is no hypertension, no diabetes, that is no obesity, that is the time we need to prevent having it. And that is what we call primary prevention. Now, secondary prevention, now there is hypertension. Now there is diabetes. You will still continue on what you were to do. And then, at that point, there is no complication yet. So you can have hypertension, you can have diabetes. If it is well controlled, it's not going to lead to coronary artery disease. It's not going to lead to stroke, which are the complications if it is prevented. So that is at the secondary level. Now, but if you should allow it to now lead into complication, now there is now coronary artery disease, now there is now stroke, and you survive it, then you now go to tertiary prevention. After tertiary prevention, there is no other one. I think that is bye-bye. So that is why we need to, so like I said, there is this what we call worldwide intervention, stopping of tobacco policy. Government has a role to play. It is not sufficient to tell people that
tobacco smokers are liable to die young. But we need to actually do what we call tobacco control. So government actually has a role to play in prevention. Alcohol too. Government has a role to play. Now, building of walkways for people to do exercise and all of that, that is part of the work of the government. Strategies in removing harmful use of alcohol, school meals to children, that is part of the manifesto of the ruling party. Is a way of preventing cardiovascular disease. Okay, so now, individual now. So individual, eat healthily, no frying of food, olive oil better, no going to eateries and joints, moderate salt intake, avoid Maggi, Ajinomoto seasonings, all of that, avoid them. I take a lot of fruits. Dates. No, dates. Date has a lot of calorie that can keep us well. At the same time, it has antioxidants that, so fruit is important. No go area. But that is what we do. Some people cannot finish a meal without taking all these soft drinks. So reduce weight if you are obese or overweight. Reduce weight. Actually, obesity is at the extreme. Before you get there, that's what we call overweight. It is BMI, body mass index, that you actually, not just the weight, but the weight over the height, okay, in meters. So when it is calculated, you can know what your, now exercise, what we call cardiovascular exercise is about daily exercise. It must be daily, or at least 6 times of 7 days of the week. So, and it must be a sweater exercise, 30 to 1 hour. Sweater exercise. So that is what we call it, aerobic exercise. Jogging, bicycling, and all of that. All of that is good. However, not like a weightlifting or all those sporty. No, it's not sport. It's exercise. You should enjoy it, but it will be a sweater exercise. These are benefits of exercise. We don't have time to do there. Alcohol. Now, for secondary prevention, apart from lifestyle modification, now when there is already hypertension, there already stroke, you need these medications. These medications are evidence-based that they will prevent complication. They will prevent coronary artery disease. They will prevent stroke for patients who already had background risk factors. Aspirin, very cheap. Aspirin is becoming a wonder drug because it has also shown to prevent some cancers. I know Dr. Habib knows about it. Aspirin now prevents development of some cancer. So it's very important. Beta blocker, angiotensin, these are, no, statins is for the cholesterol. And all these are disease modifiable drugs. Now, if all of these fails, and the patient is now in heart failure, in developed countries, they can do coronary artery bypass. We have some centers in Nigeria, but they are very few and very expensive. In like of millions, like Dr. Habib was talking about the other time, if you want to do any of this. So, I don't want to talk about it, because we should not get there. All right? But for people who can avoid it, when they have such problem, they can go for coronary bypass, balloon angiopathy, revive, heart transplants. Recently, I read about a person in US who has been on artificial heart for more than a year or 2. He is without heart. They just put a pump there to be while he's waiting for a heart to be donated. And how did they get heart? Because heart is it's not a pure organ. It is gotten from people who are dead, but their heart is still working. So it's cadaveric. Our own system cannot do that yet. A lot of people in road traffic accidents in developed countries, as road traffic accident is occurring, they already have the team with helicopter and everything. They quickly go there, affect the heart, and transplant it. However, there is ethical, issues. But if ethical issues of this can be well controlled, that is part of the development. So people can have heart transplants. The artificial operation, like I said. Now, some other things that we can easily do here. Our cardiothoracic surgeon can easily put a pacemaker. They can do prosthetic valve and all of that. These are procedures. They are expensive, but they can easily be done in Nigeria. Thank you.
I'll be talking issues on reproductive health. Reproductive health is a social obstetrics and is a public issue. It's a burden on it's an issue that is a public burden in our environment. By way of introduction, reproductive health is the issue that related with the reproductive processes. Before I go there, why is it a burden? Annually, they recorded that about 590 women died from pregnancy and childbirth. And among these, 99% of it occurred in sub-Saharan Africa, which Nigeria is one of the countries we found there. Morbidities occur as high as 50 million women. However, Nigeria accounts for approximately 10% of all these issues. Why are our women dying? The burden of the reproductive still lies mostly on the women and the young ones. Apart from the women that are dying, we also have the infants that are also dying. We can say that approximately in 30 seconds, we lost a woman due to an unsupervised care or one issue on the other that could be preventable. The reproductive health is a state of, according to the WHO, our Imam defined the other time that health is a state of complete well-being. Reproductive health also shared the definition from it that it's a state of complete physical, mental, social, psychological, emotional, anything you could think of well-being. You just saw a mere absence of disease or disorder of reproductive process. Reproductive process can be tracked from the womb to the tomb because it involves both the female child, the female baby that is born, so when the baby becomes a girl, from girl being an adolescent, from adolescent being a mother, a woman of reproductive age group, then from reproductive age group it became a menopausal woman, then become an old woman. Till the woman die, we still have issues to discuss with the reproductive health. This cycle, using the cycle to approach the reproductive health, like I said, we have infancy, we have the adolescence, the reproductive years, then the post-reproductive years, and some other issues that are actually psychological, psychosocial aspects of the reproductive health. The reproductive health could be the normal process, physiological process, like what our coordinator was saying the other time, that we are happy to see, we are not praying for cancer, we are not praying for cardiovascular disease, but we want to procreate, we want to have children, babies, we want to be bearing babies and the like. But there are also other issues that are controversial issues that are associated with the reproductive health beyond childbearing, and these issues can be put on the doors of every one of us. Like in the infancy or childhood period, there are some people that this issue of sex selection, preference for male child over the female child, and which may put some people to maltreat the female children. Going back to the era of the Jahiliyyah, when they were killing the female child that they prefer to have a male child. We still do it now when people are going for the IVF or doing sex selection or family balancing or any other name that they give it to it. Another issue that could affect the reproductive health is the genital mutilation, female genital cutting. Female genital mutilations, there are different forms of it. Some is associated with, attributed to culture, while some is attributed to religions. Though the different forms, there is mild cutting, there is major cutting. The mild cutting could be, they say it is the Prophet Sallallahu advised that it could be done, but it is not compulsory. However, nowadays, people are really cutting deep, and it is more injurious to the health of the female child. Then the adolescent, at the adolescent period, the issues that could arise could be like the early childbearing, while girl childs are married off early, be like age 10, 12, less than 14 years, and they are put into womanhood from that. At the end of the day, most of them get pregnant without well-developed reproductive pelvic organ or reproductive organ. They tend to have the problem during the delivery. Some of them may be have the delivery in a local hospital or in a traditional birth attendance, end up having prolonged labor, obstructed labor. At the end of the day, some may die during delivery, and some may eventually seek medical care. They do cesarean section for them. At the end of the day, they may come down with the pressure effects of the prolonged labor, obstructed labor, like them leaking urine, leaking feces. From there, the husband run away, or they send them out. They become redundant, and psychological problems come into play. Also, the issue of unsafe abortions is also a part of the issue burdening the reproductive health. Alhamdulillah, the Prophet said, La taqrabu zina, don't move near zina. He did not say that, don't do it, just don't move near it. If you don't move near zina, you won't get unwanted pregnancy. If you don't get unwanted pregnancy, you won't move near you won't move near abortion, unsafe abortion. So the unsafe abortion is another issue that is a burdening the reproductive health. Likewise, sexually transmitted infections, acquired immunodeficiency diseases, HIV, that is also a burden of reproductive health. Going to the reproductive years, we have unplanned pregnancies, unsafe abortions, and pregnancy complications. Now to the post-reproductive years, as the woman develops, you are getting to the age of 14 and above, all these cardiovascular complications that my brother earlier presented started coming into play. You start having patients with women coming down with hypertension, diabetics. Also, the gynecological cancers started showing up. The cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, and all the like. So the reproductive health is not limited to a particular age group, or it encompasses, and we need to high index of suspicions to seek help and to seek medical help so as to know when to intervene. So what are the problems that the woman encountered? What are the things that predisposes them in the reproductive age groups to maternal mortality? Why are our women dying? A lot of people, it's not as if that they don't know that there is health facility, or they don't know that when you are pregnant or when you are sick, you're supposed to go to the hospital. But there are different cultural and social factors that give them the restriction from seeking help, from knowing in the first the failure to recognize that this is an issue, this is a problem. By the time at all, maybe the husband is not at home, I have to take permission that I'm sick, I want to go to her health facility. Or okay, I'm in labor, I can't go out alone. All different kind of excuses like that make them to stay at home longer than the required period for them to seek help. And also, there are some, all the transitional birth identities are some of our hospitals, maternal hospitals, that keep them eating, chopping beyond what they can cope with. At the end of the day, when they eventually decide to refer, maybe there could be transport problem, or there could be problem in getting to the place where they could seek the help. And also, when they get to the where they seek the help, the problem in getting the help, responsiveness of most of our hospitals staffs could be devastating. Industrial strike today, no facility to work with, no instrument to use. At the end of the day, the woman may, before the help could be sorted, the woman may end up being in mortuary. The commonest causes of maternal mortality in globally are the patients with hemorrhagic diseases in pregnancy, infection, hypertension in pregnancy, unsafe abortions, obstructed labor, like as Ellie said, malaria, anemia, and others. And also in Nigeria, is not that's part of the things that causes the death of our women. Like I've already discussed some of the components of reproductive health, the safe motherhood encompasses the issues that causes the woman of reproductive health for her to be pregnant, for her to come out safely with the pregnancy, and for the baby to be alive and the mother to be alive following the pregnancies. It encompasses the antenatal care, the treatment that the woman got during the labor, the treatment the woman got immediately after the labor. Majority of the deaths that occurs from the pregnancy occurs immediately after the labor, because some women tend to have what we call postpartum hemorrhage after the labor, that they bleed so much that they eventually lost their life. So then most of the women, especially in the environment, demographic health that survey that was done shows that we still have about less than 30% of our delivery that is supervised by skilled birth attendants. So a lot of women, they may come to the hospital for antenatal care, but at the end of the day, by the time it's time for them to deliver, they go up to traditional birth attendants or Alagbo house or one nurse built house near them. So they end up losing our women to what we call preventable deaths. Then another issue about reproductive health is issue of infertility. Infertility is the failure of the woman or the couple to conceive despite adequate, regular, unprotected sexual intercourse after a year of unprotected sexual intercourse. Many of the time, the blame of the infertility, for people to come out and seek the help for infertility, it usually takes a long, we end up having a blame action. Is it that the relatives, the in-laws are looking at the wife, that probably she's been promiscuous as a lady. The husband is looking at the wife that it is not in me, it's not my body. The wife is looking at the husband that it's your body. At the end of the day, it took a while for them to come out and seek help that, okay, this is the issue. However, when they eventually seek help for infertility, there are different aspects of the management of infertility that is acceptable in Islam. But except the one that involved in vitro fertilization, which involved donor sperm, that when the husband, after investigating, about 30% of the cost may be from the husband, 30% may be from the wife, and the one from the wife may be probably the tube of the wife, or probably the wife has a mass inside the womb, or probably is the cervix, one thing or the other. At the end of the day, some people, the wife may have a blood tube that say, okay, we can't go ahead with you trying that you can get pregnant yourself. Then we need to seek assisted conceptions. So the assisted conceptions, there are different forms of assisted conceptions. We have the one that they just take the husband's sperms and push it into the wife's womb, if the wife wants the tube is patent. We have the one that they need to borrow the egg from another person and use for the wife, provided the egg of the wife is no more viable to be used for the conception. We have the one that they need to collect the husband's sperm borrow the sperm from another man. We have donor, we have sperm donor. Those that do assisted conceptions, they have some men that come and donate sperm. But however, this one is frowned out in Islam because it doesn't augur well with the lineage in Islam. So apart from that, every other assisted conception is still within the acceptable concept of Islam. Then for the sexually transmitted infections, there are a lot of ways that people go about in getting the sexually transmitted infections or all the diseases that are available. Right from having multiple sexual intercourse or having multiple sexual partners or contacting there are some of these infected like human vagina virus. These ones may be contacted from blood sharing needle, blood and blood products, apart from people that are being promiscuous. Then I've talked about observed abortion. Another issues of concern in reproductive health is family planning and contraceptives. Family planning is a form of family child spacing, in which that maybe to prevent unwanted pregnancy, maybe for the health of the woman, to be able to space the child for the woman to regain from the loss of the previous delivery, or to some women, this may be probably the woman has uterine rupture during this last delivery, but Allah has saved that she was able to be salvaged. They would ask her to tie her tube so that she won't get pregnant again, because they don't know that if for her to be salvaged in this pregnancy, the next one, the pregnancy may not up to that particular month before she has another episode of uterine rupture. So they may do family planning for that. They may also do family planning for if there are some medical conditions in the woman that could affect her life if she eventually get pregnant. Like some women that have cardiovascular diseases, like the way they earlier discussed with us, women that have chronic heart failure, chronic liver failure, chronic kidney failure, or there's one called Eisenmenger syndrome, to abstain away from pregnancy. So these kind of cases, they tend to have family planning contraception. So there are different forms of family planning contraceptive. There are different forms. There is a coitus interruptus or withdrawal method. This one was Azulu. They practiced this one during the time of the Prophet. The natural methods, there are also natural methods when the woman will be checking her cervical mucus to know that if it is watery at this time, that means that, this is the ovulation period, the likely period the fertile period, the period that if I meet with my husband, I'm likely to get pregnant. Or if it is thick, that means that this period, I cannot get pregnant. Or if there is no discharge at all, this period, this is a safe period for me, I cannot get pregnant. Then the other method they can use, symptotherma. Some people, immediately after ovulation, there's something we call progesterone that is being produced by the follicle that releases the egg. So that progesterone tends to be thermogenic. It causes the woman's blood pressure, body temperature to be increased a while. So some people tend to use that period, symptotherma, to know, if my body is hot for a while, at this period, this likely period that I'm having ovulation, this is the likely period of ovulation. If I meet with my husband at this period, I may likely get pregnant. Then there are some other methods, hormonal methods, which may be the drug that the woman will use, the injectable, and the barriers. All these methods, so far they are within the concept of they are not being harmful to the woman, and more injurious to the woman's health, and they are not causing the permanent sterilization to the woman, that the woman may not deliver again. They are still within the concept of Islam. However, the male aspect of it, which involves the vasectomy, in which they cut the male vas deferens, so that the sperm will not be transported again. Though the woman will still be ejaculating, will still be having normal erection and normal male performance. This one tends to be frowned at in the concept of Islam. Then the adolescent and reproductive health and sexuality is another aspect of reproductive health that's needed to be taken care of. Who are the adolescents? The adolescent period is the period of when children tend to, is the period when they tend to exploit, they tend to inquire so much into so many things that they cannot do if their parents are there. This is the period when the boys is becoming a man. It's the period when the girls is becoming a lady, when they tend to exploit a lot of things. And at this period, they hide a lot of things from the parents. So this is the kind of the period that they tend to have a confidence. This is the period where we have unsafe abortion. This is the period where we have the ladies going to club, the men's going to club. This is the period where you have a lot of unintended, unwanted pregnancies. So this we needed to be looked into, and there is need for adolescent-friendly services in which the girls can ask what is not glaring to them, what is the issues about the religions and the issues about their reproductive life. Most of the time, when the female adolescent age group come to the hospital and complain about their sexual health or their sexuality, on reaching to the hospital, they met women that are old enough to be their mothers. They tend to shy away from disclosing whatever they come from. Even at the point of death, they will still be telling you that they are virgin, they are innocent, they don't do anything. And most of adolescents, the period that they're in the university, the period that they're in the higher institutions, away from the parents, they tend to explore a lot of things and do a lot of things. So this is the period, the environment, there is need for us to have adolescent-friendly services where they can be accommodated into the reproductive health. Then the harmful traditional practices. Harmful traditional practices that are harmful to women. I mentioned one of it, that will involve the female genital cutting, domestic violence. Domestic violence is another issue that is on the upsurge in our environment now. It crosses border. It doesn't have anything to do whether this is a brother, or this is Jaili, or this is the person that doesn't understand, or this is responsible, this is a person in power, high caliber, anybody now. We realize that most of the time there are a lot of stressors outside. We could find it unbelievable at times when the patient's brought in to the hospital. She may brought a pregnant woman brought in bleeding PV. The husband will not be able to say, and the pregnant woman will not be able to say, this is the problem, this is what led to this. A lot of domestic violence going around, our brothers beating up the wife or slighting, maybe due to economic downturn, that the stress at work, stress at everywhere. So I think at this junction, I'll implore our ulamas or our fathers that they should still implement more tolerance. The lectures on no tolerance for our husbands, our daddies, our mommies, our fathers, and also for our mothers also to be a little bit calmer and mind what they say and when they say it, or any issue that could cause them to get a beating of their life, they should run away from it, because domestic violence is real, and the people at the end of it, when the man started beating up his wife, he may not realize on time until he finished beating and he eventually killed the woman. They said an abuser, he will always abuse, and abuse is a cycle. It's just a cycle. The moment he gets triggered, you will abuse and beg again, appeal, then another cycle of abuse will start. So you need to work on this. Then the gender inequality and inequity. The gender inequality, they said there is no gender inequality in Islam, but there is gender equity. Gender equity entails what do we do for a male child, what do we do for a female child. when two people required to use, when two people required, we have like for a woman, a man that has two wives, one thin, one fat, and the two of them, she wants them to get a cloth, to wear a cloth. So buying 4 yards of cloth for a thin wife, for a slim wife, and 4 yards for a fat woman, that will not be enough. Is gender equality, but it is not gender equity. However, buying 6 yards of wife for the one that is fat, that will be enough for her as a dress, and buying 4 for the one that is thin, that will be enough for their dress, is a gender equity. So we have gender equity in Islam. However, some of our parents still do a preferential treatment for a male child, neglecting a female child. Well, and alhamdulillah, in this environment, I don't think we have anybody that said, I have a female child, you should not go to school. Because if by the time you finish in school, you change your name and go and marry somebody. Or I have a female child, I will not feed you, I will not clothe you. It's still happening in some areas. Like I have a patient that came at the 6th delivery that happened to be a male child, and she started crying. What happened? She said she can't go home. Why can't you go home? The husband has said, if you have a female this time around, don't come to my house again. So we need to call the man and say, okay, the doctor that attended to you, is it a male or a female? That's a female. So what gives you the assurance that your female children cannot succeed in life? The mothers of the Muslim, of the Mu'minin, Aisha, is it a male or a female? Was she not teaching the males? Most of the hadiths that were collected, that were received, most of it are from her. She's a female. So the fact that someone is a female does not mean that she cannot prosper in life. And Allah did not say female will go to hell. The female is not my creature again. So our fathers need to work on this, the issue of the gender inequality or the sex preference. The other issues of the reproductive rights and the reproductive tract malignancies that my brothers already mentioned. Cervical cancer is the second commonest cause of female gynecological malignancies. It's one of the cancers that is commoner in this environment, and it is preventable. How? If we have the screening method and we pick it on time, most of these women can be saved. Cervical cancer was shown to be detected by 500,000 women annually, and 249,000 died from it. Why? Because they don't have the screening method was not adequate. But now we have different hospitals doing pap smear, this one doing HPV DNA. What we need now is awareness, like what we're doing now, just to tell our mothers, our girls. They said that human papillomavirus, is a viral disease. However, it can happen, woman gets it from a man. So they said the woman that has not yet started seeing a man, that is not yet, that's not been defiled, the woman does not have any intercourse before, a virgin, a girl of 9-year-old, we should start vaccinating our children now. There are different forms of vaccines for it. Cervarix, Gardasil. That should start, we'll do the vaccinating our girls before they acquire this virus. The virus itself can be found in any woman. It can be found in man. In men, it's called the genital penile wart. It causes a disease in the man. It's called the genital warts in woman, and it can cause cervical cancer in a woman. So if it is detected early in a woman, human papillomavirus, if it's detected early in a woman, it may take its course. Like they were saying the other time, there are risk factors. If there is no other congenital factors, probably immune depression in the woman, that could predispose her to depress her immunity and allow this human papillomavirus to enter into the system and become and proliferate, causes the cells to proliferate and have cancer. Then doing this screening and treating on time could save a lot, or a woman a lot in the long way from reproductive tract malignancies. Then the other cancers too, most of the time our women come to present very late. Like he also rightly mentioned, endometrial cancer, too could be detected early if the woman presents early. Like the woman that stops seeing the menses, when the woman stops seeing during monthly menstrual period, we said they already become menopause. At least a year after not seeing the menses, she's already in the menopause. So she just said that stopped seeing menses for 5 years and now started bleeding again, or probably she met with the husband and when she cleaned up, she saw blood. We call that postcoital bleeding. Or she met with the husband, she started bleeding. Or she's someone that her menses have been regular, there's a 28-day cycle, and she just finished doing menses. A week later, she saw another one. The time we call intermenstrual bleeding. There's such are the symptoms that the woman should pay particular attention to and come to the hospital early, so that they'll do the screening and pick it up if it is actually hypertrophy, or endometrial hypertrophy, or endometrial cancer coming into play. Then, okay, this is what I discussed before, the pillar of the safe motherhood. Then the factors affecting reproductive health, the gender, the sex preference, the food allocations, our cultures, the culture of early marriage, most of the time with our brothers in the north, the childbirth, having the childbirth at home or not in a supervised environment, the societal beliefs and the norms that are the harmful societal beliefs and the norms, like those of if you after delivery you must pour hot water on your body so for all the bad blood to go and all sorts of things. Then the mental and physical abuse, like I already said, there are lots of women that are physically and psychologically abused, and most of the time, by the time they come out to present, they'll be like, how can I go to the hospital and report my husband that I was feeling pain when my husband was having intercourse with me? Meanwhile, that could be the earliest sign for her to know that something is going wrong in my body. Then where Allah puts our reproductive tract is in between our thighs. So it is hidden. Most of the time, go to the hospital. For them to now say, when I get to the hospital, I am meeting a male doctor. How can me, Eleha said that this is what I come for? And when I meet with Afa, it is paining me. Or I saw blood. So they tend to be shy away from the slightest symptoms that could have been a pointer to the masquerade coming. Then the poverty aspect, like the earlier speaker already said, poverty has a lot of way to play with our reproductive health. We need money. Most of the awareness programs require money. We need policymakers to put money into all these awareness programs. We need them to put money into preventive programs. We need them to put money into treatments. Because there are a lot of people, a lot of times that we need to donate from our salary for the patient to be treated. There are a lot of times that there are a lot of things that the patients could have, if the money is there, could have been saved. But due to poverty, a lot of women are dying. Then the sexual behavior, like nowadays, I like to call the attention to, there are some people that have mental health. When they have the affinity for some people, they call some pedophile. When they say a man of 90 years old sleeping with a girl of 5 years old. So we need to be careful with who we ask to take care of our female child. We can't say, this is your uncle. Even the uncle should not, the female girl should not be allowed to sit on the uncle's lap. It is not acceptable. I've had a child of a 5-year-old that was brought in as a case of rape. She was raped by her stepbrother in the absence of the father and mother at home. So we should be careful with who we allow our children to stay with, who we put the custody of our children with. And any slight signs is important in our children. And we should try as much as possible to be open, to be their friend, so that they'll be open to us and tell me what happened in school. I told my children when they were small that if anybody beats your bum, slap the person and tell, my mommy said I should slap anybody that beats my bum. If the teacher wants to beat you, tell the teacher to beat you in the hand. Any teacher that wants to beat you and use the hand to beat you in your bum, slap him. Tell him that I said you should slap him. Let him come and see me. And let him tell me the reason why he has to put his hand in your bum. Is that the kind of punishment you want to give? So we need to be careful, because nowadays, I don't know whether probably the stress of the economic downturn that is actually causing the mental health to people. We are hearing a lot of rubbish on the news that this one is raped by a 90-year-old man sleeping with 5-year-old, and a 50-year-old sleeping with a small child. So we need to be careful with our children's health. I don't know if the time will permit me to do this, but I need to mention is that the reproductive health is now shifting. I mean, there was a paradigm shift. The reproductive health is shifting from a population, family planning, to the reproductive rights. At the rights of the women, that the women have the right to decide freely that this is the number of children I want to have, this is the timing, this is the spacing, and doing this thing, they need to have informations, the educations, and the means. They need the power. They need to be empowered. They need the money for them to say, oh, okay, this is why I want to support my family. I want to support my husband. I want to support my home. Without violence, discrimination, or coercion. Alhamdulillah, Islam is, when they're talking about the reproductive rights, they will say that the Muslim women they are being oppressed. They are being, because they are the one, they don't have the right, they don't have this, they don't have that. We don't know that we are the one that have most rights. The Prophet ﷺ said that you are the best of mankind, the best of you is the best to his wife. If the man wants to be the sincere follower of the Prophet, you know that the Prophet discouraged you beating a woman. You know that the Prophet discouraged you not doing good to your family. And you will not deny your wife the access to the health that she needs. That is not the kind of yes. If you have misbehaved, you can desert her bed, but not at the point of the wife is dying, you desert her bed, or you deny her the medical health facility. Then these are the rights that they said the woman have: the right to life, to liberty, to privacy, freedom, and all sorts of things. I think I've mentioned all this. Okay, this is the classification of female genital mutilation I mentioned. Now, I want to get to, women trafficking. That's another issues burdening the reproductive health. That most of the time our women, all in the name of getting, all in the name of money, they are signing their bondage, they are taking them out abroad. Even some are not taken abroad. Some are being used up by their politicians as a safe trade. They will fly them to Abuja or take them to wherever to sleep with them and give them money. There are some, especially among the university undergraduates, they just go to their school, pack them, take them out, and give them some money. Some are doing it because of poverty, that they feel that that's the only way they can survive themselves. The Islamic perspective, there is need for community ownership, for us to have a male involvement in the healthcare facilities of our women. There is need for us to implement the sense of responsibilities to our Muslim brothers and sisters. It's not enough for a wife to need a medical health and we say, go and call your father. Or there are some people that will require urgent intervention, probably the woman needing severe section. The father will say, let me call her father. If her father said she should do it for her, she will have it. If her father did not consent, she will not have it. The Quranic version that supported that the involvement, like Quran 5 verse 2, that said that help ye one another in the righteousness and piety, but not in sin and rancor. You don't support our brothers in the beer parlor. You don't support our brother to perpetrate sins, but however, we encourage our brothers to do good and good alone. Then there is need for us to encourage our female children and male children. Encourage our female children on education, information, so that they will be empowered. Then there is need for us to start imbibing our male children that you are equally a good child as the female children. A male child that has been brainwashed right from childhood that you are the head of the family. You some people in some homes, they ask the child to come and a boy to come and cook, join the mother in the kitchen. They say, no, don't turn my boy to boy, a girl. He's supposed to be in the parlor. So they'll be tossing around the female child while the male child is sitting down playing or football or playing around with the daddy. And the male child has been exposed to his father abusing, assaulting the mother every other time, or the father beating up the mother. You definitely grow up to be the same cycle of an abuser or the same cycle of a grossly irresponsible child. So Allah not let this one happen in our homes. Then there is need for us to strengthen our public-private sector collaborations. They said we want government to help us, but we also need to help ourselves. The little quotas we could play into how can we make our women, save our women's life. We should try incorporating it in our own little way, and also soliciting for the policymakers to help in one or two things on how to strengthen our health sectors.
والصلاة والسلام على رسوله وبعد الحمد لله الذي كرم الإنسان وعلمه البيان وأورثه السنة والقرآن وأنزل عليه فضائل الإحسان وأرشده إلى معرفة الطب وصحة الأبدان وعلمه استخراج الجمال. I would want to practicalize hijama for us here, because a good number of us will not have this opportunity again. And it is very important that because of the nature of this topic, I know for sure that prophetic medicine is a very sensitive and controversial aspect. And so we must try as much as possible to talk on some important things. Prophetic medicine, we all know, are those recommendations, prescriptions, and others that stems from the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are some of it also that are from the Quran directly. All of these are what we study in prophetic medicine. Scholars of the past have written extensively on this field. We have many scholars, and Imam Abu Nu'aym al-Asfahani has written on Tibb al-Nabawi. Al-Imam Suyuti also has written on Tibb al-Nabawi. Al-Zahabi has also written on Tibb al-Nabawi. And very many of them, they have explored the field beyond imagination. Because the time is fast spent and I do not have any time, so I am not that composed. You will permit me for that. One, we know that when you say prophetic medicine, some people, what they know to prophetic medicine are black seed oil, zaitun, and perhaps honey. But prophetic medicine transcends beyond all of these things. But because I've said, I would want to mention those germane aspects of prophetic medicine. Yes, black seed is there, zaitun is there, hulba is there, and many others. In fact, they are just too numerous to mention. Because of the nature of where we are, beyond the textual evidences, we must tell ourselves what the scientists and even the doctors from the past and the present have said on all of these things. Prophetic medicine is, they are those recommendations that have stood the test of time, and till eternity, they will continue to triumph. The black seed itself, as far back as 1959 till date, there has been more than 200 researches all over the world to unveil the constituent of the black seed. Because the Rasul mentioned to us in authentic hadith that in the hadith habata sauda, this black seed is a cure, likulli da, for every disease. We have the hadith in Bukhari, we have it in Muslim, we have it in Tirmidhi, we have it in Musnad Imam Ahmad and others like that. So if we just go home and check the chapter of medicine in all of these books, we'll see many hadith pointing to some prescriptions. Some of these prescriptions are therapeutic. I mean, they are cure, like the black seed. Some of them are they are like, preservatives. Some of them are prophylactic. What we mean by that is they are to preserve their health, like zaitun and others like that, like tin. They are fruits and herbs, and they have benefits. So the black seed has lots of constituents. It has zinc, it has potassium, it has copper. So anything or any of these prophetic medicine, there are some that tops the list. When we say those that tops the list, we talk of black seed oil, we talk of zaitun, we talk of tin, we talk of honey because it has copper and zinc combined together. And we know what we mean when we say copper and zinc are combined in a particular medicine. It boosts the immune system. Then zinc itself specifically is very essential in more than 200 chemical reactions in the body, including spermatogenesis and insulin and other things like that. So these are some of those things that black seed oil has. The black seed, the raw seed too has that property. The zaitun too has it. Then tea too has it. The honey too has it, and some of them too. And this biotic medicine too. There are some of them that are specifically mentioned for a particular illness. One of them is al-kam'a. Kam'a is truffle. Kam'a, the Rasul mentioned kam'a in the hadith of Bukhari. He said al-kam'atu, kam'a, that is truffle. Min al-manni alladhi anzalallahu ala bani Israil. It's part of the mannu, the favor that Allah revealed to Bani Israil. Wa ma'uhu shifa min al-ayn. And the water, that is the truffle oil, the truffle water itself, is a cure for the eye. So in the commentary on the hadith, as we can see it in the Sharh of Muslim, that is authored by Imam Nawawi, he mentioned there that there used to be a scholar who was a scholar of hadith. Then he became blind. So when he read the hadith, he went in search of that kam'a. He got the kam'a and he applied it to the eye, and he regained his sight. So things like this are many. There are numerous in prophetic medicine, but the time will not permit us. Another thing we must mention is al-hijama. Hijama is cupping. Although even the medical experts, they have recorded it that cupping has a lot of benefits. Avicenna, the author of the popular canon of medicine, he has it in his book that cupping is an old medical practice. And other ones too, even some of the oldest medical books, they have also recorded that cupping is part of what they do. And experts all over the world, even medical experts, they use cupping so much. They use cupping. So I just want to implore us to please give us 10, 15 minutes so that we can demonstrate cupping. There is one of my students here who will come and do it for us. He was one time a student in Al-Azhar. So please, cupping, we have not been able to tell ourselves what cupping is. Cupping is like a surgery. In fact, some will say it is a mini surgery. So that is one of those things that Vedic medicine has that makes it much more unique and much more beneficial than other forms of remedy that people have come up with. So cupping, as we have seen, this is the equipment that is used to perform cupping. We should note that it is not only in Nigeria that cupping is performed. It is performed outside the country. In fact, it is even the West that explore prophetic medicine much more than those of us in this part of the country. So when we say cupping, we are actually referring to the act of, getting rid of toxins from the body. So those toxins would be taken out of the body through blood. So, and when we say we should not be scared, because this is not the first time we present lectures like this, and people will say, I don't want to see blood. You will see blood here. So, and nothing will happen. We should take it easy. No, it is a health now. It is even a sunnah. Apart from the health benefit of cupping, it's even a sunnah. So the hadith on cupping, we have many hadiths on cupping. And Imam Ahmad, we know Imam Ahmad, he was the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah. It is this hadith, after he has gathered all he has gathered of hadith and he has implemented everything, he said, okay, let me look at any of these hadith I have not implemented. And he found out that it is this hadith on cupping that he has not implemented. Then he asked the one who performed the cupping to come and perform the cupping for him. What we mean is the Rasul himself, he performed it on several occasions, and he also advised his companions to perform it. So time will not permit us, because when I had the time, 30 minutes or 35 minutes, I am totally destabilized. Yes, so the evidence for cupping, you can find it in Musnad of Imam Ahmad, you can find it in Bukhari. Just go to the chapter of medicine, you see the hadith there. In that of An-Nasa'i, and Albani said the hadith is authentic. The Rasul said, when he went for Isra al-Miraj, that all the malaika, all the angels, all the messengers of Allah that he met in heavens, they were telling him that alayka bil hijama ya Muhammad, oh Muhammad, make sure you and your followers perform hijama. So for the messenger of Allah, for those in heaven to be pointing to something that, okay, make sure you do it, don't leave it out. It means that thing is something that every Muslim should try and do. And it is not, so this I'm giving is just a summary of the discussion. So you cannot get everything here. I just want us to see how cupping is done. So the cups has to be fixed. I want someone to volunteer. Cupping does not vitiate the fast. Yes, there is a controversy on it. Yes, you can volunteer. Anybody can volunteer. But the most correct opinion, as Al-Imam Qayyim al-Jawziyya has mentioned to us, is that cupping does not vitiate the fast. So let us just see how it is done. Cupping, as it is like this, it is one of the most effective way to cure diabetes, cancer, hepatitis. Mention them. High blood pressure, and everything. In fact, the Rasul mentioned to us in another hadith, he said the best of what you can use to treat yourself is cupping. The best. So, and this is, is coming from the Rasul. So as Muslims, we should not doubt it. And those who have specialized in this cupping, they have found it to be something that they could not have anything to replace it. They could not find anything at all to replace cupping. So when we say cupping, this they will do for us here is just, because of the time and the situation of things. So cupping in itself, it is something that I deliver a speech of 2-3 hours on, because it is a science on its own. Now, let's have it done. The part of the body that is to be cupped, it is something that is simple and very effective, so you don't need to panic, okay? Okay, they have it. The part to be cupped, so those are the cups, just apply it in that manner, and yes, I'm sure we are not shouting. So you have to leave it like that for about 5 to 10 minutes. It is after that the red part of the cup will be what? Loosened. So if it is loosened, then incisions will be made. As we wait for 5 minutes or so, we must understand some things here. Cupping, it is not only those who are sick that do cupping. Even when you are not sick, you can do cupping. The benefit of cupping, part of the benefit of cupping is, one, it helps to boost immunity. 2, cupping helps get rid of toxins. Those toxins are called blood stasis, dead cells, fat deposits, and other things like that. So cupping would help us to get them out of the body. Apart from that, the Rasul also recommended cupping. Okay, you can see it, no problem. Nothing will happen. Okay, nothing will happen. Afa, get those buckets and get our buckets in there. Buckets of water and the other buckets. I think there are some there. The Rasul prescribed cupping for migraine. In fact, the authentic hadith says that whenever anybody comes to report to the Rasul of migraine or headache, the Rasul will prescribe that cupping should be done on the head. So you do cupping on the head, we do cupping on virtually every part of the body. We use cupping effectively to treat obesity. And if you travel outside the country, specifically the UK and the US, you see them well. Even when you go to YouTube, just put it on YouTube, cupping, you see how it is done. So it is something that is globally accepted, because experts from outside the country, they have experimented this and they have seen it to be very effective in treating a number of diseases. So cancer itself, apart from that, because our doctor has mentioned cancer, I would want to just tell us little things. One of those things that we can use in prophetic medicine to get rid of cancer, all things being equal. When I say all things being equal, I mean if it is, tackled at the early stage, is camel's urine and camel's milk. One would want to say, camels, how will I drink camel's urine? Yes, you have to drink it, because the Rasul recommended it. The hadith is authentic. We have it in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. That some people came to Medina, and after some times, they had bloated stomach. And the Rasul said they should take them to where there are camels, so that they go and drink the camel and the milk of camel. They drank it and they became better. That stomach, became okay and all that things. So doctors now tell us now that when you have your stomach just got protruded, all of a sudden, it could be an indication of cancer or liver inflammation, that is hepatitis or edema. So all of those things. So inflammation generally are part of what we recommend Camel's urine for. Well, Camel's urine, it has immunoglobulin, that is an immune booster. It also has lactoferrin, it is antiviral, it is antibacterial, and it has other benefits. So Camel's urine also has vitamin B, vitamin C, that is ascorbic acid. It is good for the immunity. So many of them like that, many of them. Afa, remove that thing and make the incisions. Apart from the hijama, the Camel's urine, we also have one of those things we use in prophetic medicine that is very, very important, that unfortunately not many of us know all of those things. We have Habatul Rashad. There's Habatul Rashad, there's Habatul Rashad. But please, this lecture, I must make this the disclaimer. This lecture is not to make you an expert in hijama. Okay? Does not mean that when you have not seen it now, you now go outside there, you get the kids and begin to do hijama for people. No, it is slant. So all of these things I'm saying are things that I learned over years. So nobody comes with that knowledge from heaven. So you have to learn it. Okay? And then prophetic medicine too. Make the decision well. Okay. There is this misconception that prophetic medicine is arbitrary. That you can just go to the store and get Abbas Sauda or get Zaitun and just begin to administer it for anything. No, it is slant. So, and then you must pay attention to the dose too. You must pay attention to the dose too. So all of these things are what we study well in prophetic medicine. Okay? You just leave the blood like that, let it come out for some times, and then you have it and you clean the surface, and the person will stand up and it continues its life. So this is just a sample. This is just a sample. So if hijama, apart from that, if hijama is to be done for a specific illness, there are things we must pay attention to. So the Rasul mentions some points. They call those points hijama points or cupping points. So if someone has hypertension, there are points of the body on the body that the hijama kits, these cups and other things must be placed. If it is for menstrual irregularities, there are places where it must be placed. If it is for different things, so all of those things must be taken care of. It is not just the way we have done. So I've just done this so as to just let us see that hijama is real and it is something that we should all embrace. It's something that we should all embrace. So I've done it for myself on several times, and I've done it. It is something that I do almost every day. And so I've also told us that it is universal. So if you have people from outside the country, ask them. But in Nigeria, we are being held in shackles. Our leaders, when they are sick, they go to places like India, they go to places like Egypt, you get, and other places like that, where all those places, this thing we are doing now, this hijama, is recognized there. Our brother here is from Egypt, and he learned his own from Egypt. So when he came, we met. So those who go outside the country, they see it. In fact, their hospitals, it is recognized there. And as much as you are satisfied, you are certified, you are a cupping therapist, you will be called upon to come and perform cupping for people in the hospitals. In India, it is done very well. I have people there. In Egypt here, it is done well. In the UK, it is done well. But in Nigeria here, they will say no. Meanwhile, they have it in their medical textbook that cupping is one of the oldest medical, practice that is used to treat diseases. So if you check their books, you see there. But they have just removed it from the syllabus here in Nigeria. And when they need them, they will go outside the country. Even Avicenna, the father of modern medicine, research, we have it recorded authentically that he performed cupping. Avicenna himself, who was Avicenna, that is whom they call Ibn Sina. And there are other ones too. The one I wanted to mention is Hippocrates. Hippocrates also performed cupping. So cupping can be done for Muslims and non-Muslims. So it's not only for Muslims. Muslims can do it, non-Muslims can also do it. So this is just how cupping is done. So it's cupping itself is one of the very much important prophetic medicine that we must not shy away from. So anybody that discusses about prophetic medicine and has not mentioned cupping has not actually discussed anything at all. Because cupping itself, when you have cupping with black seed oil, camel's milk and urine, and zaitun, and a few other medicines, those ones alone are enough to combat, cancer. And research has also shown that a very robust, effective system will quickly detect and fight cancerous cells. So cupping, I must say that one of the most important benefits of cupping is to boost the immunity. So for someone who has, cancer or some of those degenerative diseases, the person will have to do cupping at times a week interval, at times 2 weeks in interval. All of those things are things that are found in prophetic medicine. I do not prepare for PowerPoint, so that's why the slides it will not be shown here. But there is a document there. So anybody who is interested, it's of prophetic medicine, and you have all of these herbs and plants. We have their benefits and their constituents. I've only mentioned black seed, and I spoke briefly on camel's milk and camel's urine. There are many other ones. We have Ambat Rashad, we have Ruman, we have many other ones like that. So the research has shown the important features of all of these things, and they are beneficial. So all of those things are contained in the document. So anybody who is interested can just drop his mail and have it on the program. So we have it there. It's on prophetic medicine. So that is just one of what I've written in the past on prophetic medicine. We can benefit a lot from it, and we perhaps when time permits, if time permits for question and answer, we would explain some other things. So that is how cupping is done. May Allah make it a beneficial discussion for us, and may Allah heal us all.
I would like to invoke the Quranic injunction, which says, believers, take your precautions. This is a very fundamental injunction, and it's at the root of all we have been saying this morning, because prevention is better than cure. Because a condition that can be prevented, any condition, definitely will give us more benefit than running after cure or treatment after it has been established. Having said that, the major goal in helping to prevent this, first of all, let me emphasize that the finality of all human creation, animals and all, is death. There is no escaping that. It's amply demonstrated in the Quran. But having said that, we are also permitted to take precautions that can preserve the health, that will lead to prosperity and success both here and in the hereafter. Therefore, prevention is key. And there are several mechanisms of prevention. First of all, what is preventable can be prevented and should be prevented. For example, we can't prevent aging. From the time we are born, as a newborn infant, to a young child, crippling, and to an adult, adolescent, and old age, there is a progressive decline in the body function, because the cells have been exposed to so much toxin that they have been dealing with, that this itself is able to alter the way the cells will behave. Of course, as our lecturers have told us, this particular sequence would make its impact on the body in the presence of other risk factors like genetics and heredity and family history of this condition. Somebody said that if we all grew old enough, we will all have cancer. This is from an expert who has been widely respected. So, having said that, it is mandatory, it is possible to take preventive measures, which have been amply demonstrated by our lecturers. Preventive measures include lifestyle modification, which I was happily talked about. Not only lifestyle modifications, but the ability to maintain discipline and composure in all that we do. So the problem of prevention, for example, again, it is not possible to screen for all the possible diseases in the body. It is not cost effective, and it's not even going to be helpful. But there are certain areas that can be focused on. There are certain things that can be done which are under our control. The lifestyle modification factor process, as well as other things. One point I'd like to make is that we should take things in perspective. The cancer as a disease entity generally is a scary thing. It scares everybody once the word cancer is mentioned. But I like to caution that that shouldn't be taken out of context. Cancer is a disease like diabetes, like hypertension, like HIV and others. And it is preventable in some cases, it is treatable, and it is curable. So even if we put it with other conditions which are, we call non-malignant, which are not cancerous, like the doctor pointed out, hypertension, stroke, diabetes mellitus. From the slide that Dr. Busari showed about the 10 common causes of leading causes of death worldwide, I didn't see cancer in the first 10. And that is very important, and that really, I was fascinated by that. Also, when it came to the causes of death in developing countries, I couldn't see that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't occur here, but there's a general conversation that it is so much here, it is an epidemic, it is incurable, and it evokes morbid fear, and it need not be so. It's very simple. One of the tactics is prevention. Let us listen to our body. Listen to your body. It says us a lot. And you can find that most of the time it's just negligence or just trivializing such messages that our body gives us. For example, everybody knows the way it goes to toilet. Somebody goes maybe once a day, another person once in 3 days, another person once every other day. If this pattern changes, for example, to some frequency, or changes in the consistency, or changes in the color, that is not a moment for panic, but it's a moment to know that I have to do something to look at this aspect. So we have to listen to our body, we have to take preventive measures, and we have to be proactive in this condition. That's one aspect. The other aspect is that we need to do what do you call it, preventive measures with regards to our food, with regards to our drink, and all others like that. For purpose of time, I'd just like to briefly go through what I think can be done by way of screening. There are a number of conditions that can be screened proactively. As mentioned earlier, breast cancer is one. Females should take advantage of the various methods of screening. Cervical cancer is eminently treatable. It's preventable by doing pap smear regularly. Skin cancers, alhamdulillah, we are not at risk for that as such, but as a portion of our population, the albinos, have to take notice of that. High blood pressure, constant monitoring, cholesterol level monitoring, diabetes, eminently controllable, even without medicine, by your diet. But the risk of not doing that is devastating, as we all know. Colorectal cancer has been mentioned. Glaucoma, which is a cause of blindness. There are so many people who have gone blind because of glaucoma. That is something that affects the eye. The eye blood pressure rises, and if care is not taken, not treated early, it leads to blindness. Finally, prostate cancer in men. It's a very common condition as men grow older, but we have tests that can indicate its presence or absent. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is the basis for various combinations, stroke concussions in prophetic medicine? Combinations of items.
Yes, I have planned to mention that before. One of those reservations people have for prophetic medicine is the fact that we prescribe combinations. Say, take this, add it to this, add it to this. It is not arbitrary, as I've said earlier. There are a number of things we consider. One, most of what we prescribe are plants and herbs, and they have some level of toxicity. They are toxic. So we prescribe honey to be added with them so as to neutralize the effects of the toxicity in those plants. So some of them may be too toxic for the liver to break down. So that is that. Then Ibn Qayyim also mentioned in his popular book, I refer him to as the father of medicine and the father of prophetic medicine, because his contribution is invaluable in that line. So he said, for those who take combinations, for those whose food is combination, the most suitable medicine for them is what? Combination. And he proved that even with modern medical analysis. So most of us who take combinations, take rice and this and that. So the most suitable medicine for us is this. Then those medicines too, we prescribe this and this and this and this to be taken together. Some of them, or most of them, they have some things in common, such that this one will reinforce the other one. So like virtually most of them, virtually all of them, have that antioxidant property. Those may be more in some than others, and we know the role of antioxidants in combating free radicals. And even most of what they tell us today are product of the free radicals that are accumulated in our body. So even mention diabetes, even cancer, even all of those things. So we prescribe prophetic medicines, and one of them, in fact, the highest when you talk of antioxidants, I have the crest, that is Habatul Rashad. Even Habatul Rashad has that property. So what we should know is that the prescriptions are not arbitrary. So, and we should be careful. People today, they will just say, please, I have a headache. What should I take? I'm sorry, I don't prescribe online. It's against the ethics of prophetic medicine. So if you are really sick, you come and they will tell you, okay, we'll consider many things. And then we will even ask you to go and run tests. So I have not come to contradict what our doctors have said. We have only come to tell us that beyond the surface level, there are other things we need to know. So in prophetic medicine, we prescribe tests. In fact, if you meet anybody who has come to me, who has passed through me, of course, it is not blabbing, but one does have to say it. It is what we do on a daily basis. We even treat people from outside the country. So we tell them, okay, go and run this test, go and run this test. So it's after the test, we now tell, okay, this is what you should do. Okay, this is what you should not do. And many other things like that. So those prescriptions, they have basics. They have basics. So it is not that it is with our own discretion that we say, take this and take this. No. It is the product of research.
According to WHO, 1 out of 5 couples suffers infertility problem. What can this be attributed to?
Infertility is a couple problem. It could be as a result of the man, the issue from the man, or the issue from the woman, or the two of them can have a joint factor. The man can have the problem with maybe just a mere psychological problem that on seeing the woman, he will not get erection, or he may not be able to achieve erection. Some men, it may be that probably he has a chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetics, and with that, he was not able to achieve good erection and ejaculate. Some people, it may be that the man has suffered more bronchitis at childhood or during in adulthood. It may be that someone has done a groin surgery, a procedure on its pelvis before, or it may be a chronic long distance driver, or one of things or the other. There are a lot of things that could cause male infertility, and it may be that the man does not even have anything called sperm at all. So there are a lot of things that could result to infertility from the man aspect, and the woman aspect too. It may be psychological problem. It may be that the woman is not ovulating. It may be from the previous vaginal infection that the woman has had, that probably she has had an ascending infection because it's pelvic inflammatory disease, that her tubes have been blocked. It may be probably the two of them, they are not, some couples are not even actually having intercourse. Maybe the husband is a virgin, the wife is a virgin. They've not consummated even intercourse, and they were saying they are looking for pregnancy. It is when they now presented that we evaluate and see what is. We ask the question, we examine the wife, then we ask for some investigations. Is that when the result of those things comes out, that we'll be able to know that this is the problem and this is the solution we could provide to it.
Does radiation from phones cause cancer? Is there a scientific fact that cellophane nylon causes cancer?
Well, cell phone radiation is not ionizing radiation. Like I said earlier on, radiation could be ionizing or non-ionizing. Cell phone radiation is not ionizing radiation, so it will not cause cancer. Or there is no, although there is no real fact, but we are hearing now, there are new studies suggesting that brain cancer comes from cell phone. We are hearing that, but it's yet to be very authenticated. Although the general belief is that it doesn't cause it, but new research is showing that brain cancer is on the rise among cell phone users. So this is yet to be authenticated.
Cellophane nylon, does it cause cancer?
Well, cellophane nylon is not likely to cause cancer. There is no reason why cellophane will cause cancer. Cell phone will be more hazardous on children. Children are more susceptible to diseases. So their brain is not as matured, their cells are not as matured. So we always say you should keep it away from children.
Why do more women have fibroids these days?
Well, that is a good question. Well, fibroid is a disease that is common among women, and ordinarily, it doesn't really cause problem in most cases, because a lot of women actually carry fibroid and they will still have their children. It may be at the point when they are doing other investigation that they find out, oh, he has fibroid. Fibroid will become problematic when it starts causing bleeding, excessive bleeding, or when it starts causing infertility. So it's an hormonal thing. Like we said, everything has its front effects and side effects. So while estrogen is protective in terms of cardiovascular disease for women, it does predispose women to have fibroid. So that is why, but other environmental factors can contribute to the increase in rise of fibroid. That is one. The second thing is that we now have a lot of paraphernalias of diagnostic tools. So ordinarily, fibroid that occurred in our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers that were never noticed because there were no investigative tools, no CT, no ultrasound scan and all of that. But now we have all of that, such that even it is picked incidentally. So when we are having an increase in diagnosis of fibroid, it does not necessarily mean that they are increasing, but we are getting them the more. We now have tools to identify these diseases. So of course it will look as if we have more of them. So those are the two issues.
It is also important to stipulate the tissue of origin of fibroid. is mainly of fibrous tissue, and it's more common in people of black ancestry. In the same way that we generally develop what we call keloid, when there is a mark on any part of the body and it heals, the scar tissue that grows over it is called keloid. It's much commoner in people of black ancestry. The same thing, the fibroid has origin in fibrous tissue, and generally it appears as if we black people make more fibrous tissue than others. Plus, the fact that there are better means of picking it up, diagnosis, doesn't necessarily follow that it's increasing. Wallahu alam.
Okay. Dr. Busari again.
Just one more point. In addition to all that has been said, the incidence might also be increasing because women are beginning to have children later than it used to happen, especially in urban areas. Most women want to marry, finish their education first, have first degree, have masters, so they start making use of the uterus later. So the uterus is constantly being stimulated with estrogen and all, and it's vacuum. There's nothing. It doesn't carry anything. Nature abhors a vacuum. So because of that delay at the onset of childbearing, which is brought about by the need for education and other circumstances, the average age of marriage was lower years back than it is today. It's more common to see a 30-year-old still searching or still studying, not yet ready. So they are more prone. This could also somehow contribute to the apparent increase in the incidence of fibroids that we have these days. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, Islam has recommended early marriage. So let us take note. Dr. Busari, is there any permanent cure for hypertension?
For now, there is no permanent cure for hypertension. However, there is a management, control of hypertension to the extent that individual that is hypertensive and takes care of it will not have any further risk factor than somebody who does not have. So what we in terms of management that is available now, we can say to a very large extent that if hypertension is well controlled, then it is as if it's not there. Okay, but in terms of saying hypertension is cured, like malaria is cured and some other disease that we can just give a particular dose and it will disappear, as at today we do not have such. But Allah has said that there is no disease without a cure. So a day may come when we will have permanent cure for hypertension. Allahu Alam.
What is the role of stem cells in the treatment of cancer?
Role of stem cell in the treatment of cancer. There are some cancers, like blood cancers, that grows, that blood circulates through the whole body. So when there's cancer of the blood, the one way you can actually eradicate it is to completely clean off the body clean the blood of the blood cells, then introduce new stem cells that will generate it. For example, in leukemia, you can completely irradiate the whole body to kill all the cancer cells, then introduce stem cells that will form new bone marrow that will produce the blood. So you are taking off the bad one and putting another. Stem cells are cells that can reproduce to form any type of cells. They are like the basics of the cells that can form other cells. So if you can wipe off the cells, the cancerous cells, you can then introduce stem cells to restart, and replace the blood cells.
Sorry, let me just add something to what the expert has said here. It is like you are producing blood from a factory, and the blood is polluted or there is something wrong with what is coming out. You now shut down that factory and you bring in a new system, a new plant that will produce new type of products. And that is what stem cells will do. So when you shut down the factory, you clear all that, you now bring in a new plant. You install a new plant, that's stem cell. Now produce new cells that will be free of the contamination that you had the previous time. Just to make it for a layman like us.
How does modern medicine view cupping, which has just been performed now?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps I will start from, we were just having a side discussion here, which is not strictly medical, that did Rasulullah practice cupping? Was it practiced on him? And all that. We were having that discussion. But maybe our expert will guide us on that. But having said that, on face value, what we saw demonstrated here is you were able to extract blood by applying negative pressure from a surface that has been bleached. Similar to what we do when we put a tourniquet on your hand and stick a needle in. So we create a pressure and then we create a vacuum in the syringe and the blood will flow. We saw that by extrapolation, you can get out some blood. You can decrease the blood volume in that individual. The basis of treatment of hypertension in history of medicine is that they used to do bloodletting. If you had a high blood pressure, they will bleed you. So by bleeding you, they will reduce your pressure. You can say, well, what happened here? You are trying to let blood, perhaps. But the other point is the amount of blood that was let. Will it be significant enough to cause a drop in blood pressure? I don't know. How does this extraction of blood affect diabetes? I wouldn't know. From a purely Western medicine perspective, I will not be able to explain that. I don't know. It will be a bit difficult to explain. There might be other side to that. I don't know.
Well, when you talk of modern medicine is a medicine that is based on experiment and based on principle, based on what you can explain. You do a lot of research, you get the value for the research, then you assert it whether it is correct, it should be practiced or not. I'm not sure cupping is part of modern medicine, so I don't know if we can use modern medicine to rate it. It's another type of medicine entirely, which I think we have various type of medicine, Chinese medicine, traditional medicine. Cupping is just one of the medicine. It's not a part of Western medicine, so I don't think Western medicine will rate it.
I have mentioned it earlier during the course of the presentation that the fathers of modern medicine, they perform cupping. We have mentioned Hippocrates. That so if we have the opportunity to do research more, we would see that cupping is something that they perform. And in the Western world, it is welcomed. And there are, I said it that there is scientific explanation for how cupping works in treating all of those diseases. So the Rasul performed it on himself on several occasions. There are authentic narrations in Bukhari, Muslim of Imam Ahmad. Imam Albani authenticated it, and even in the Son of Ibn Majah. So those narrations are just too numerous to mention. The Rasul performed it on himself. He asked his companions to perform it. And even scholars of the past, they performed it well. And no scholar of Islam, no single scholar, would say cupping is not part of Islam. And even the medical experts too, they have all agreed that yes, cupping is part of Islam. So those who do not agree, those who say they have anything to have any reservation for cupping, they actually do not have enough knowledge. That is just it. Because, and cupping is not like blood, what do you call this? Blood donation. They are different. In cupping, where the blood is coming from, it is subcutaneous layer. We are talking about beneath the skin, the fatty deposits and other things like that. So, and all of what is coming out, they are not the pure blood that is beneficial for the body. Though some of them, they actually, some of the blood from the veins would escape, but they are insignificant. So the bulk of what is coming out is, from beneath the skin. So there are toxins. So there are fat deposits. I mentioned it. There are fat deposits. There are blood stasis and other things like that. So there are those things that are coming out. And what we have done now, I said it is just a sample. So if you are to do cupping in the real sense, we would understand better that cupping is very, very effective. The Rasul mentioned it specifically for some diseases. He mentioned it for migraine. He mentioned it for high blood pressure. He also performed cupping when he was poisoned. When poison was added to his food. So he performed cupping and other things. So if there is pain and other things like that, so this cupping is part of what we use. And also, I have mentioned some countries where cupping is recognized, and you have to be certified before you practice it. In India, in Egypt, even in the Western world, they practice it well. In the UK, in the USA, and some other parts of the country, and even in Saudi Arabia and other places. So it is only in Nigeria, and we know in Nigeria we always have exception. So I don't know why those in Nigeria have not woke up to the reality. So all other parts of the country, where the civilized country, even just our neighboring country here, there is one country that people do go very well for masters and other things like that. No, not Sudan. It is practiced in Sudan, or the Middle East. There is one Muslim country too that I have forgotten. So, no, I've forgotten the name. So people practice cupping very well, and even it is even part of the medical syllabus of some universities outside this Nigeria. So cupping is part of what they do well. So may Allah make us understand better.
Can prophetic medicine be used to cure infertility?
Well, one thing I have not been able to mention is that prophetic medicine is a cure for every disease. We may not understand now, but if we are fortunate to meet people who are non-Muslims, who have benefited from prophetic medicine, they will tell us that what is in your religion is far more better than what we have with us. So there is no single disease that prophetic medicine is not beneficial for. So if it does not have a direct effect on it, then it will assist in one way or the other. When we mentioned the other time, the Rasul said black seed is a cure for every disease. Those who do not have enough knowledge, they said, how will it be a cure for every disease? Because about 70% or even more of those diseases that we treat today have to do with issues with our immunity. And black seed is one of those things that even the Western world, in fact, the Western world, I've mentioned the Western world, they acknowledge black seed more than even the Muslims. And that's why the bulk of the research that we have on black seed are those that are carried out by the non-Muslims. So infertility is just something that is very minute. Yes, it's very minute. We should believe, one, that child comes from Allah. That is the first thing. Child comes from Allah. But there are prophetic medicines that will help to increase the chance of a woman conceiving. And they are just too numerous. Black seed is part of it. Even fig is even part of it. Garlic is even part of it. Though garlic, everybody use garlic. So because it has selenium. We also have kusbara because it has selenium. So we also have some other prophetic medicines too that have manganese, and some also have magnesium. And we know the role of these elements in boosting fertility. So we have also mentioned that thrombogenesis too. Zinc. So zinc is even found in many of the prophetic medicines. We have it in black seed, we have it in cress, that is Abbot Roshad, and many others. So the time will not permit us to go in detail into the constituents of all of those things. So like the black seed, even honey, even all of those things, they are food on their own. That's one of those things. Because the black seed, it has, saturated and non-saturated oils. It has carbohydrates. It has, essential oils. All of those things are beneficial to the body. That's why the Rasul said it is a cure for every disease. For every disease. So it is authentic hadith. So all of those things, they are numerous, and we have them in prophetic medicine well. Jazakumullah khairan.
Treatment of prostate cancer. You made mention of chemotherapy, radiation, and hormonal. Which one do you advise? One. But what I've discovered is that with all this treatment, how did you see somebody who survives it at the end of the day? I just lost a friend. He's been going to US almost twice in a year for chemo, but at the end of the just packed up it yesterday.
Only about 20% of people, of elderly people that has prostate cancer actually know they had it in their lifetime. So many people had it, never had symptoms, and died of something else. Then, of those who have symptoms, if they present very early, it can be cured. Prostate cancer is not just one disease. It's a group of diseases. It's a group of cancer that originate from the prostate. And because it's a group, they have different characteristics. Some are indolent, not very aggressive, while some are aggressive. So if it is an aggressive form and it is not caught early, it becomes difficult to treat. Then, of the different mode of treatment, surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and hormonal therapy, which one is best? Actually, what we do is combination therapy. We do combination, we don't use just one. And the therapy we use will depend, or combination we use will depend on the stage when we cut it and the aggressiveness, how aggressive it is. There are times we see prostate cancer in the elderly and we don't even treat. We do watchful observation, watchful surveillance, That's, we monitor it. If we catch it and it is early and it is not aggressive, we don't treat. We just make sure we follow up the patient to make sure that if it changes, if it starts becoming aggressive, then we treat. Because if it is early and it is indolent, then there's no need giving the person side effect of treatment, because it's probably never going to have symptoms of the cancer. So when it is very early, what we do, the best thing to do is to remove the prostate. Remove the thing completely. When it is very early, remove it if it is aggressive. But when it has gone beyond the one you will remove, then we treat with hormonal therapy. There are two ways we can do hormonal therapy. Either we use drugs or we do surgery. But the surgery this time around will not be the prostate. It will be the organ that produces the hormone, because it's still hormonal therapy, even though it's surgery, but it's hormonal. So we remove what produces the testosterone. Testosterone is the hormone that feeds the prostate. So when you remove that, because it is relatively advanced, you will still need to burn the prostate. We can't remove the prostate because it is already affecting organs around it, and we may not be able to remove everything. So we use radiotherapy to burn the prostate and burn the cancer cells around it. So in this way, we are using surgery, hormonal, and radio. So radio can also be used for very advanced disease. So what we will use is determined by the aggressiveness and the time we cut it. I hope I answered the question correctly.
From the medical perspective, is female circumcision advisable?
From medical perspective, first of all, I think part of the problem that would lead to what the medical think about it is the degree of mutilation, the skill of the mutilator, and is there any inherent abnormality in the patient. Okay? So that from medical perspective, those things I've mentioned are those what leads to complication in the patient. For example, fibrosis of the area, infection, bleeding, and other complications what can follow as a result of this practice. It also depends on the degree of circumcision. According to WHO, I think it's been classified into 3 or 4 stages. And the higher the stage, the more aggressive, the more radical the surgery. And the main thing, from my point of view, is intense fibrosis that will make that will affect the reproductive health of the patient, infection, bleeding. For example, some people have congenital bleeding problems that are not ordinarily known until you go and them or incise them, and they bleed and bleed and bleed. Wallah.
We know that there are some pitfalls in female circumcision from an orthodox medical perspective. And we know there are benefits in male circumcision. I would want our Imam to enlighten us. The position of Islam, was the Holy Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphatic on circumcision of female child? Or is it something that is encouraged? Or is it something that is mandatory? So that we'll be able to, because from medical perspective, we know there are risks related to female circumcision, and there are benefits, medical point of view.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. From Islamic perspective, we can say that female circumcision is permissible. It's permissible. It's not compulsory, but it's permissible. It's not compulsory like that of the female of the male circumcision, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Idha jalasa bayna shu'abiha al-arba wa massa al-khitan al-khitan." Now the hadith it says, "Idha altaqa al-khitanan faqad wajaba al-ghusl." When the two places of circumcision meet, bathing is compulsory. When the two places of circumcision meet, bathing is compulsory. So which means that during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, female circumcision was done. This is why he said when the two places of circumcision meet, bathing is compulsory. So both males and females used to be circumcised during the time of the Prophet. But the emphasis was on that of the male, not on that of the female. This is why I said female circumcision is permissible, but it's not compulsory, or it's not sunnatu muakkada like that of the female male. And secondly, if something is permissible in Islam, we have to look at it in 2 ways. It's permissible, which means it can be done. We now see other things, we read other things to it, circumstances surrounding it. If we can see that the way it's being carried out is risky for the female, then we have to jettison it. We have to leave it. If we know that it is not harmful to her, then we may leave it, because Sharia has not permitted it, except that there will be some benefits in it. So every time, every place, we have to consider the locality, the place. Can we say we have more benefit in this than its dangers? When we have more harms in it than the benefit, then we have to go for that which is more beneficial to the female. After all, it's not compulsory, it's not an instruction, it's only a permissibility. Wallahu a'lam.
More and more pregnant women are delivered of their babies through cesarean sections these days. Why is CS prevalent now?
More and more women are delivering. From position of orthodox medicine, once again, childbearing should be safe. Childbearing should be safe. We all know that people will say that there is inherent risk, and it's been recognized. That is why they will say ekwewomo. Ekwewomo means that people recognize there are some risks in the process of childbirth. But goats have babies, dogs have, other animals have, and they don't have obstetricians in most cases. So the question is, okay, again, why are we doing more section? But development, civilization, knowledge have gotten to a point that people believe that people should not die from childbirth. Should not. People die, even when you try everything, but people should not. So the attempt is to ensure that you get a good result, a live baby and a live mother. And to that extent, with the amount of knowledge available, skills and apparatus to be able to make diagnosis, you can foresee dangers, you can foresee risks that can lead to death. If your dog is having a baby or a puppy and it dies in the process, well, okay, you feel sorry, too bad. But for your wife to do that is a different story. So orthodox medicine is at a stage where it is believed that people should not die. So intervention is important. So we are more aware. We don't want it to be that the mortality should be that high. So you intervene at the right time. So there are many things that used to kill people during childbirth. Hemorrhage is one of them you mentioned. There could be obstructive delivery. There could be disproportion. There could be so many factors. Those things are now recognized early. And when you do, you don't want to take a chance. You probably will offer the woman, look, there is this, there is that, there is this. There is a need to intervene at this point. Because of that awareness, rather than when we used to be caught off guard, the woman will get into trouble and she might die, but now you say, okay, look, you can see problem ahead. You can see it even during antenatal. And you can see even during delivery. Because it is seen these days that every labor is a trial of labor until the baby is born. A trial in the sense that you are not sure of what will happen. It is at the very end you can say it was a normal delivery. You cannot see a person and say, oh, it will be a normal delivery. You can't say so. You really cannot say so. Even when it starts normal, it may not end normal. Until it is over, it is not over. That is when you can say normal delivery. So you can only anticipate, but you watch. At any point in time, you intervene. So the idea is that women should not die at childbirth. And to that extent, you must be proactive. Things must be done. So it might appear that you are having more cesarean section or more interventions these days.
Salam alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, I quite support my colleague. The risks of allowing spontaneous delivery is usually weighed against going for cesarean section. And then the judgment is clear that if you are going to get a big benefit from doing a cesarean section, so be it. Following on that, I would like to mention that during Dr. Lallery's presentation, she did put a slide about leading causes of death, maternal mortality death. And the leading one, which was 23%, was as a result of hemorrhage. Hemorrhage, which means bleeding, excessive bleeding. And it's really unfortunate, it's very painful that we should lose mothers who go into labor because of excessive hemorrhage. It shouldn't happen. But why does it happen? It happens because the state of development of our blood transfusion facilities is, to say the least, not up to standard. And one of the reasons is that there are no blood donors. That's one of the reasons. There are other reasons. There are no donors. And blood donation is a very important, blood transfusion, very important aspect of medical management. All the conditions that have been mentioned here today, including cancer treatment, bleeding from this surgery, they all center on the adequacy of blood in our system. So without making much further ado, I'd like to encourage, advise that adult men from the age of 18 to 60, 65, who are medically fit should become voluntary donors. This is very important, and may Allah make it easy for all of us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I also want to add to what has been said. Cesarean section is good to prevent mothers that are about to deliver if we see that she won't be able to deliver the baby. But we all know that when there is a delivery, the mother is alive and the baby is dead, the news is not good enough. We also do it to prevent the child from dying. If there is a fetal distress, If the child is in distress and you think will not be able to go through labor, we also do cesarean section. So we save the mother, we save the child.
My suggestion is to our medical doctors. I think you have a social responsibility. The medical doctors and the Advertising Practitioners Council. Because if you look at Indomie, when they advertise, they always advertise by putting down EBA. But we've learned from you that Indomie is refined food. It's not as good as our traditional food, EBA. So I think there's a lot of misinformation going on through those adverts. So you should help us, correct it. That's all I'm suggesting.
We doctors, we have a duty to treat patients, to make sure they are in good health. We don't have the financial capacity to compete with marketers to do adverts. Neither do we have the security to compete with them. However, in forum like this, and when we grant interviews on TV and on radio, we say our mind. We say everything as it is. But to sponsor adverts, that is quite expensive. And I don't think we should use our meager salary to be doing adverts, because our family will complain. They are already complaining we don't have enough time for them. Then we'll spend the money we are supposed to spend on them on advert. Your wife will drive away.